Thank you, Mr. President. At the outset, I would like to express my thanks to the Secretary of State, Mr. Pompeo. I would like also to express my thanks to Ms. Rosemary DiCarlo, the Under-Secretary General for Political Affairs, on her comprehensive briefing concerning the sixth-month report of the Secretary General on the implementation of Resolution 2231. I would also like to thank the facilitator for the implementation of Resolution 2231, as well as the representative of the European Union on behalf of the Joint Commission on their briefings to the Council. 3 years ago, Kuwait welcomed the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action and the subsequent adoption by the Security Council of Resolution 2231. Indeed, the agreement does not address all the concerns of the countries in the region, where security conditions continue to deteriorate and whose domestic affairs continue to be interfered with. However, we welcomed the agreement as we always stand ready to support UN resolutions, efforts and endeavors seeking to achieve security and stability in the Middle East region, and also in light of our principled and firm position vis-à-vis all the issues of non-proliferation in general and for a Middle East free of weapons of mass destruction in particular. We took note of the sixth report of the Secretary General developed under the provisions of Annex B2 Resolution 2231, which gives an overview of the nuclear, ballistic missile and weapons regulations and the measures aiming to strengthen the implementation of the resolution. We welcome the reported continued implementation by Iran of its commitments as verified by the International Atomic Energy Agency. We reiterate that Iran should stay on this positive course and continue to fulfill its commitments according to the Non-Proliferation Treaty and the Comprehensive Safeguards Agreement concluded with the IAEA. Meanwhile, the early ratification by Iran of the additional protocol would guarantee that it continues to maintain its status as a non-nuclear state. Mr. President, the provisions of resolution are not limited to the nuclear aspect only, but transcend that to control activities related. In this regard, we are about the continued launching of ballistic missiles at the Kingdom of Saudi report, who mentions transfers, couldn't verify the date of transfer, investigate the same. However, the remains one of heightened seriousness and international peace and security. Missiles at the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, lives of civilians. Also stress our firm position, which calls for the sovereignty thereof in accordance with the provisions of the Charter of the United Nations, international law, the principles of neighborliness, and to settle disputes by peaceful means and to refrain from the use of force or the threat thereof. In conclusion, Kuwait reaffirms that the Security Council should continue to shoulder its responsibility and follow up the implementation of Resolution 2231 in a comprehensive manner that guarantees the compliance by Iran and other states with their commitments, not only in the sphere of nuclear non-proliferation, but also the other aspects contained in the resolution. And before concluding, I would take this opportunity to express my appreciation to Ambassador Karl van Ostrom in his capacity as facilitator for the implementation of Resolution 2231 and the members of his mission for the efforts they made during the past year, and we wish them and the country continued success in all their endeavors. Thank you, Mr. President.
Merci.
I think the representative of Kuwait. I now give the floor to the representative of China.
Mr. President, first of all, I thank USG DiCarlo and Ambassador Van Oosterom for their briefings. I welcome the presence and coming to the meeting of Secretary General Pompeo. The JCPOA, as a multilateral agreement endorsed by the Security Council resolution, has the effect of international law And as an important achievement of multilateralism, it is in the common interest of the international community. It is playing a significant role in upholding the international nuclear non-proliferation regime and maintaining peace and stability in the Middle East. It also serves as a model for addressing international and regional hotspot issues by diplomatic means. Despite the abrupt changes in the situation in the past 6 months, the current participants to the JCPOA, with a sense of responsibility, continue to focus on implementing the agreement while maintaining normal economic and trade cooperation with Iran, and have received broad support from the international community. The IEA has confirmed Iran's compliance with its nuclear-related commitments under the JCPOA for 13 times consecutively. And the coordination between the Council and the procurement channel functions normally. Practice has proved that the JCPOA is an effective agreement and needs to be fully and effectively implemented. Mr. President, currently, the implementation of the JCPOA is at a critical juncture. China appreciates Iran's efforts to implement resolution and the JCPOA, and hopes that Iran can continue its implementation, and the other participants will continue to fulfill their commitments. China regrets the withdrawal of the United States from the JCPOA and its subsequent decision to reimpose sanctions, and calls on all parties to work on a proper solution to the difficulties faced in maintaining normal economic and trade cooperation with Iran. We believe that all parties concerned need to proceed from the overall long-term interests, adhere to multilateralism, uphold multilateral agreements, fulfill their due responsibilities and obligations, and facilitate a steady and sustained implementation of Resolution 2231 and the JCPOA. President, the Secretary General multilateralism, cooperate in responding and work together to preserve JCPOA. It supports the initiatives of the JCPOA participants to freedom to conduct lawful trade with Iran in accordance with Resolution 2231. Also, believe that the SG's report, the Secretariat needs to strictly unverified elements into the report. Stated that to be capable of delivering nuclear weapons, and they have made as facilitator of the 2231 format. To the Iranian nuclear issue remains committed a strong sense of responsibility and work together with the international. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the representative of
Mr. President, first the presence of the Secretary of State of the United States, Mr. Mike Pompeo, we express our gratitude for the convening of this meeting and are grateful for the important delivered by Ambassadors Van Oosterom and we thank him for his work as facilitator for 2231 for this year. We are also grateful for the presentation the representative of the European Union in line with non-proliferation regimes for weapons of mass destruction. Peru attaches to which this Council endorsed the Comprehensive Plan of Action, the JCPOA, and the subsequent monitoring and verification is proof of the value of multilateralism and diplomacy. the value that those things have for the peaceful resolution of international disputes and for the maintenance implementation of the JCPOA. It has verified that Iran has complied and is complying with all provisions of this instrument at alleged violation 231. Annex B. These include transfers of nuclear energy, ballistic missiles, and arms, and travel bans. In these restrictive measures and in connection with the arms embargo, authorities to consider and foster greater trust in their readiness In this vein, we agree with the vision of the Secretary General regarding which are not direct accomplishments. At this juncture, we wish to urge the Iranian authorities to nuclear weapons, including in our view, it is of the utmost importance
of the JCPOA and resolution CPOA as stipulated in. We believe it plays a very vital role. This is not in violation of the respected and strictly executed by Kazakhstan due to our geographical location and transit potential. Thanks to these multilateral agreements, we are observing a revival of trade economic cooperation leading to regional development.
The agency has reported that this and the fact that the agent welcomed the IEA's commitments in order to guarantee and that this reason we should strive not a comprehensive solution to the security cannot be deal. This nuclear agreement related to Iran's regional policy, Iran's ballistic missile transfers to non-state resolutions, including Resolution 1522-31. Launching Zulfikar short-range 31 first and October 1st, as well as the test of medium-range escalation. Declaration tests in order to build up its defense capabilities may be perceived as a provocative, threatening contrary to the provision of 2231. Situation in the Middle East and for the frame from actions that could undermine further Resolution 2231 contributes to supporting non-proliferation regime. Excellent work is specific format of the Council.
Pompeo here today, we also with the Republic of Iran. Mr. President, it's most likely the last time that my delegation for that Bolivia is part of the first densely populated divisions of the Treaty for the Prohibition of. We have assumed the responsibility to continue striving to build a peaceful world. In this
that any inaction or leniency in taking appropriate action to prevent the violation of resolution will only embolden the United States to continue its unlawful practices and irresponsible policies. The irony is that the United States, who itself is in absolute violation of the Resolution 2231, today accused Iran of violating this resolution. What we heard today was another series of lies, fabrication, disinformation, and deceptive statements by the United States. Speeches made in the past at this very chamber by the United States officials. It is not surprising, too. Defense is an inseparable addiction to sanction and warmongering. Those illegal actions. With the conclusion of the JCPOA and the IAEA repeatedly confirmed Iran's full compliance with its commitment, the United States withdrew from the JCPOA, violated Resolution 2231, reimposed its illegal sanction, and started punishing states, and started punishing states who abide by the resolution. Such policies clearly indicate that even in the past, first time in the United Nations history, a permanent member of this council is blatantly punished United Nations member state not for violating, rather for complying with the Security Council resolution. That is the first time in the history of the Security Council. And yet, the US find the audacity to hijack the Council to intensify its hostilities against Iran. We have not forgotten the days when the United States has rendered this Council ineffective in preventing Saddam's aggression, stopping the use of chemical weapons against Iranians, as well as addressing the attacks to the Iranian civil aircraft over the Persian Gulf by the American forces, killing all 290 people on board, including 66 children. Rather than allowing the U.S. to repeat such abusive patterns, the Council should strongly condemn the U.S. for reimposing its illegal sanction against Iranian in violation of the United Nations Charter and international law. This sanction only harms Iran, such as women's. Even the import of basic food, medicine, and medical devices to Iran, transactions, that's Iran's problem. It is not our problem. Even if Iran had confidence to Iran's banking system weeks ago, and suddenly, and on 2018, the United all Iranians, the Iranian quote, leadership has to, does weaponizing of food and medicine civilian have any other decision of the United States nationals respecting their sovereignty, manifestation of economic terrorism against American bullying policies, and the U.S. authorities should be held to account for committing and enforcing such horrible crimes. Mr. President, through fabrication, disinformation, and invoking irrelevant criteria, the United States tries to create ambiguity and confusion in order to misinterpret the resolution with regard to Iran's missile launches. Here, I draw your attention to the interpretation of relevant paragraphs of the resolution by the U.S. Special Envoy on Iran, not by Iran, by the U.S. Special Envoy on Iran, who says that the resolution simply and kindly called upon Iran not to undertake certain activities. He then concludes that the resolution's language is hardly a clear and enforceable prohibition. Iran's ballistic missile program is designed to be exclusively capable of delivering conventional warheads required to deter foreign threats. While the Americans argue that Iran's security concerns are entirely self-generated, and also hypocritically state that Iran faces no natural threat from Israel. As recently as 3 months ago, its prime minister threatens Iran with even nuclear annihilation. That was the threat by Prime Minister of Israel. Definitely a wishful dream. Moreover, no one can ignore consistent, tremendous threats Iran continues to face from the United States, which is military threat. They are dreaming wishfully to move us back to those days when Saddam's planes bombed an Iranian city for 105 minutes, the longest aerial assault since World War II, killing and injuring over 1,000 civilians. They also wish to move us back to those days when Saddam was raining missiles on our cities. some of them carrying chemical component provided by the United States. And Iran was actively prevented from purchasing even the most rudimentary means of self-defense to at least deter the aggressor. Do not be surprised. They even prevented the export of barbed wire to Iran. Most of such restrictions still continue. We have paid a very high price to save our territory from the aggressors and to ensure the security of our borders and citizens. Those days have long passed. Living in such a volatile region as the Middle East, our government will not and cannot compromise on its security and its condition as a source of regional threat, but a blame shift in order, as the United States President calls it, of Palestine by Israel and the American. Who can also forget the U.S. role as openly by its president during the campaign in creating the ugliest of terrorism, the monstrous ISIS. If it was not for Iran's support and help, the black flag of our neighboring countries, in reaction to Iran's prominent, have conducted a few terrorist attacks in Iran 2017 and 2008. Its sponsorship of terrorism to a vicious terrorist cult, the MKO, Mujahideen Khalq, that has murdered more than 17,000 Iranians, including children, women, officials, ordinary people, and many Iraqis also, terrorist activities. Here must represent all member states. Thus, its decision should also echo Iran. Consequently, for reimposing such sanctions and demand that the U.S. their application. It also would be in line with the obligation imposed on the U.S. by the on 3rd October 2018, clear testament to the illegality of the U.S. sanctions. I would also like to clarify that is contained in letters on issues that I did not address in today. Last but not, the United States made baseless allegations are either not relevant to the agenda statement, or I confined my statement to this meeting's agenda and did not want to defy it as the U.S. did. At the same time, my contact through our foreign ministry or our representative of Vienna, The Hague, or here in...
I thank the representative of the... I now give the floor to the...
Thank you, Mr. President. Today's meeting, the end of the debate, be short. What has been said before, I would like to Di Carlo report, and we also of the report with the folk report. I believe if the Secretary is tasked to report on Belgium colleague Mark was still stitching together this agreement and also trying everything to keep.
والذي يتضمن موجزا شاملا عن الأحكام المتعلقة بالمجال النووي والصواريخ البالستية
overview of the nuclear, ballistic missile and weapons regulations and the measures aiming to strengthen the implementation of the resolution. We welcome the reported continued implementation by Iran of its commitments as verified by the International Atomic Energy Agency. We reiterate that Iran should stay on this positive course and continue to fulfill its commitments according to the Non-Proliferation Treaty and the Comprehensive Safeguards Agreement concluded with the IAEA. Meanwhile, the early ratification by Iran of the additional protocol would guarantee that it continues to maintain its status as a non-nuclear state. Mr. President, the provisions of Resolution 2231 are not limited to the nuclear aspect only, but transcend that to control activities related to ballistic missiles technologies and the transfer of traditional weapons. In this regard, we are concerned about the continued launching of ballistic missiles at the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia as per the report. The report also mentions transfers of military weapons and equipment and material to other countries in the region. The Secretariat couldn't verify the date of transfer of the mentioned weapons and continues to investigate the same. However, this issue remains one of heightened seriousness and threatens international peace and security. In this context, Kuwait condemns the launch of ballistic missiles at the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which is recurrent, thus threatening its national security and jeopardizes the lives of civilians. We also stress our firm position, which calls for the preservation of security and stability in the region and the safety of its peoples. It is important also not to interfere in the domestic affairs of countries and to respect the sovereignty thereof in accordance with the provisions of the Charter of the United Nations, international law, the principles of neighborliness, and to settle disputes by peaceful means and to refrain from the use of force or the threat thereof. In conclusion, Kuwait reaffirms that the Security Council should continue to shoulder its responsibility and follow up the implementation of Resolution 2231 in a comprehensive manner that guarantees the compliance by Iran and other states with their commitments, not only in the sphere of nuclear non-proliferation, but also the other aspects contained in the resolution. And before concluding, I would take this opportunity to express my appreciation to Ambassador Karl van Ostrom in his capacity as facilitator for the implementation of Resolution 2231 and the members of his mission for the efforts they made during the past year, and we wish them and the country continued success in all their endeavors. Thank you, Mr. President.
Merci. I thank the representative of Kuwait. I now give the floor to the representative of China.
Mr. President, first of all, I thank USG DiCarlo and Ambassador Van Oosterom for their briefings. I welcome the presence and coming to the meeting of Secretary General Pompeo. The JCPOA, as a multilateral agreement endorsed by the Security Council resolution, has the effect of international law. And as an important achievement of multilateralism, it is in the common interest of the international community. It is playing a significant role in upholding the international nuclear non-proliferation regime and maintaining peace and stability in the Middle East. It also serves as a model for addressing international and regional hotspot issues by diplomatic means. Despite the abrupt changes in the situation in the past 6 months, the current participants to the JCPOA, with a sense of responsibility, continue to focus on implementing the agreement while maintaining normal economic and trade cooperation with Iran, and have received broad support from the international community. The IEA has confirmed Iran's compliance with its nuclear-related commitments under the JCPOA for 13 times consecutively. And the coordination between the Council and the procurement channel functions normally. Practice has proved that the JCPOA is an effective agreement and needs to be fully and effectively implemented. Mr. President, currently, the implementation of the JCPOA is at a critical juncture. China appreciates Iran's efforts to implement the regime and the JCPOA. And the other participants will cause all parties to work on a proper solution to the difficulties faced in maintaining economic and trade cooperation with Iran, proceed from the overall long-term interests through agreements, fulfill their due responsibilities and obligations, and the JCPOA. Mr. President, the Secretary General's report emphasizes the need for all the parties to adhere, cooperate, and work together to preserve the JCPOA. It supports the initiatives of the JCPOA participants to protect the freedom to conduct lawful trade with Iran in accordance with Resolution 2231 and calls on all parties to support the procurement channel. China expressed its appreciation for these elements. At the same time, China also believes that the SG's report should be balanced and objective. It should comprehensively reflect the implementation of the resolution and fully address Iran's legitimate concerns. The Secretariat needs to strictly act on its mandate and functions to avoid including unverified elements into the report. Under the current circumstances, the parties should exercise caution in dealing with the missile launches of Iran and accurately interpret the resolution of the Security Council. Iran has several times stated that it has no intention to develop nuclear weapons, and its missiles are not designed to be capable of delivering nuclear weapons. And China commends Ambassador Van Oosterom and his team for the efforts they have made as facilitator of the 2231 format. China has taken note of the recent report submitted to the Council by the Joint Commission on the work of the Procurement Working Group and will continue to participate in the work thereof. Mr. President, China has always advocated a political and diplomatic solution to the Iranian nuclear issue, remains committed to consolidating the international nuclear non-proliferation regime, and maintain international and regional peace and stability. China will continue to uphold impartiality and objectivity with a strong sense of responsibility and work together with the international community in a tireless effort to uphold the JCPOA. I thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the representative of China. I now give the floor to the representative of Peru.
Mr. President, first of all, we wish to hail the presence of the Secretary of State of the United States, Mr. Mike Pompeo. We express our gratitude for the convening of this meeting and are grateful for the important presentations delivered by USG Rosemary DiCarlo and the presentation delivered by Ambassadors Van Oosterom and we thank him for his work as facilitator for 2231 for this year. We are also grateful for the presentation by the representative of the European Union. In line with its commitment to multilateralism, international law, and non-proliferation regimes for weapons of mass destruction, Peru attaches the utmost importance to compliance with and the implementation of Resolution 2231 of 2015. Pursuant to which this Council endorsed the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, the JCPOA, on the Iranian nuclear program. We believe that this instrument and the subsequent monitoring and verification regime is proof of the value of multilateralism and diplomacy, the value that those things have for the peaceful resolution of international disputes and of international peace and security. Therefore, this regime should be maintained. Turning now to progress made with the implementation of the JCPO. And in this connection, we underscore the monitoring work undertaken by the IAEA. Once again, the agency has verified that Iran has complied and is complying with all provisions of this instrument, including the additional protocol of the Safeguards Agreement. However, we must express our concern at alleged violations of sale, transfer, or export and goods. We underscore the need to ensure strict compliance with all the restrictive measures contained in Annex B. These include transit to nuclear energy, ballistic missiles, and this Council for the conflict in Yemen. We must also express our concern at the alleged to carefully alleviate these concerns, readiness to uphold their. In this vein, we agree with the vision of the Secretary General regarding which are not directly related to the JCPO's instrument and its accomplishment. At this juncture, and in line with the Iranian authorities, to not ballistic missiles designed to launch nuclear weapons, including launches which use this ballistic missile technology in moderation, bearing in mind that the division and/or as an escalation of an arms race able to increase tensions in a particular region. I would conclude responsibility to guarantee the full implementation of the JCPOA and Resolution 2230. Do so in order to.
I thank the representative of Peru. I now give the floor to the representative of Kazakhstan.
Mr. President, I thank Under-Secretary General Rosemary DiCarlo, representative of the European Union delegation Sergio Cristiano, and Ambassador Carol Ostrom for the informative briefings. I would like also to welcome participation of State Secretary Pompeo in our deliberation here. My delegation is pleased to note the following positive features of the report. Firstly, the report very correctly and accurately notes the high importance and historical role of the JCPOA as delineated in the unanimously adopted Security Council Resolution 2231. My country is proud to have contributed to this historical negotiations process by organizing 2 rounds of constructive negotiations in Almaty in 2013. Secondly, the report very clearly notes Iran's unwavering commitment to its nuclear obligations in the framework of the JCPOA, which has been confirmed 13 times by the IAEA reports. We welcome the Secretary General's vision, that is, including the people of Iran, should benefit from this agreement. In this regard, we join the welcome by the agreement parties for their aspirations to ensure freedom of their economic operations to cooperate with Iran, as stipulated in the JCPOA. Thirdly, the report very appropriately notes the confident support of the international majority in further preserving and implementing the JCPOA. This is a very clear signal that success has justified the means, and current achievements should be consolidated and built upon. Here we again agree with the Secretary General that issues not directly related to the plan should be addressed without prejudice, with a view to preserving the agreement and its accomplishments. Now let me point out other aspects that are of concern to us. First, we unfortunately continue to observe that the Secretary General's report contains notifications and claims from member states that do not allow us to reach an unconditional conclusion that Iran has violated the requirements of Resolution 2231. In our opinion, such points only dilute the content of the report and reduce its full validity. All paragraphs about such notifications end with provision that the claim needs additional analysis and verification by the Secretariat. The mechanism of interaction of the Secretariat with the Security Council regarding the checking of such notifications from member states, as well as special trips for examining physical evidence, remain unclear. Since the Secretariat does not have a direct mandate